and in time through Indonesia, the Philippines, New Guinea, and Pacific Islands. They moved through neutral Thailand to support an invasion of British-ruled Burma, now Myanmar. There they threatened India. The place where you are became part of that story when the Japanese faced the problem of supporting its troops in Burma.
They were concerned about the vulnerability of Japanese shipping from submarines in the Indian Ocean going around Malaysia and up there to supply Burma. So the concept was to have this railway going through from Thailand through to Burma where they could supply their Burman troops that way.
This place, Konyu Cutting, was the deepest and longest cutting along the line of the Thai-Burma Railway, which the Imperial Japanese Army forced through to speed supply and reinforcement of its forces in Myanmar. Their workforce was not Japanese. This place saw a workforce of thousands, drawn from British, Australian, Dutch, and American prisoners of war, captured during the sweep through Southeast Asia and Malaya, and at the fall of Singapore, and thousands of Asian labourers, or Romusha.
Hundreds of thousands of civilian slaves. They won't tell you the truth of mostly Tamil Indians and the poor Malayans and all that.
If we had a bad time, they had a shocking time. They had no organisation. They had no one to lead them, no one to help them, and they died in their tens of thousands.
At this place, the work was amongst the hardest of the entire project. During what the Japanese termed the Speedo period, from April to August 1943, when the working day could stretch to 18 hours or more, it was the most brutal place, and its death toll can never be accurately known.
When things were really hot towards the end there, when they were pushing that railway very hard, I think I used to start sick prayer at about 4 in the morning, and then we'd come up, been up till about 10 the night before, and we had to go and see these guys in the dark, and try and pick out who was fit to go and work. They were all cooked.
Work gangs were labouring here in daylight and in darkness, when bamboo flares and lamps lit the site. And that is what suggested to someone the name that has stuck to Konyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass.
Biggest percentage of the time there we lived on rice and what we call stinkfish. It was dried fish. And there was more bones than there was fish. But just put up with it, so there was nothing else you could do.
Work here started in November 1942 with British prisoners and Tamil labourers. The first Australians arrived sometime around April 25th, 1943. April 25th is the day that Australia remembers her war dead, Anzac Day. The day on which the Australian troops first went into action in the First World War. Those who worked at this place suffered at the hands of their guards. All were beaten, many severely. Some with permanent effect, some were killed. But the death toll at this place and along the railway tells us more about the conditions in which the men lived and worked, the inadequate diet and the presence of disease. Dysentery, malaria, tropical ulcers, and above all, cholera took a fearful toll. 30% of Australians held prisoner by the Japanese died in captivity.
No chap that was there died on his own. He always had someone beside him. You talked to him, you do everything you could for him, even though you knew you couldn't do any more for him. But you talked to try and comfort him and everything like that. You'll be right, mate, don't worry about it. You'll be right, you know. They knew themselves they weren't going to be right. But you know, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that when we go home.
Most of the work done at this place was done with hand tools. Hellfire Pass was cut and blasted through the solid rock by men with hammers and spikes. 2-man teams, one with the heavy hammer, the other rotating the metal drill in the rock until a hole large enough to contain a dynamite charge had been gouged out.
They sort of let the hammer do the work. And I would swing the hammer most of the day. And Harry would use the skill of getting it through the rock. And he would also say, Tom, don't rush yourself, take your time. Play it easy. We'll get dark. It's a mining term. That was the contract you had to do, and then you could go back.
And the work they did at this place, day and night, was often in the worst possible conditions. The men had to walk to the work site, perhaps several steep kilometres from their camp. And in the wet season, for months, that was dangerous and it was unhealthy.
It rained for over 100 days, and the place was awash.
The clothes in which the prisoners were captured soon rotted, and their boots fell apart.
I was about 150 days without boots, just getting out of bare feet.
Mainly barefoot and with improvised loincloths, they lived on little more than poor quality rice, and their heroic doctors did what they could with virtually no supplies.
I happened to be on the saw. They had a bucket of boiling water there. They put the saw in the bucket of boiling water. Half a dozen fellas were holding this fella down, cut his leg off, and put the saw in the bucket of water, washed it. I took it back to the bamboos.
That is the story of this place. It is the story that has been told here in the Interpretive Centre. If you choose, you can walk through Conyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass,